A confident Racing Santander side came into last season hoping to build on their massive overachievements the year before, when their inaugural UEFA Champions League campaign culminated in a heartbreaking loss to Manchester United in the semi-finals. Last summer, the club was upgraded from a plucky upstart to a serious European contender. With a new stadium, massive signings, and all the luxuries of being the new IT club in Europe, expectations were high. But it may have been a case of too much too soon. Despite their attacking exploits last season, Racing seemed inconsistent, unfocused, and overconfident far too often. They struggled to adapt to the new surroundings at the Microsoft Dome, and were unable to make it the fortress that the old El Sardinero had come to be. Still, for a club that spent the better part of the last decade stuck in the Spanish lower divisions, these are unprecedented heights. Counting a third place finish in La Liga as a disappointing season is essentially a great problem to have. But, ever ambitious, Racing want more. As Racing approach the final season of their story, they look to go out on the highest of notes. A treble is on the mind. Welcome to Season 5. First things first, we're in the final year of the deal with Adidas and they've created some fun and interesting kits for our final season here at Racing. Enjoy!
The transfer window.
After a disappointing end to last season, the pressure is on sporting director Terry to deliver. Racing will be aiming for a treble this year and hoping to build a team that can compete on all fronts. That would require far more depth than they currently have. For the past few seasons, Racing have built a competitive squad but have faltered when fatigue, injuries, or poor form have hit the starting 11. Racing are looking to increase the level of competition in the squad and have highlighted some key areas for reinforcement and perhaps even some challengers to regular starters. It's arguable that last season Racing became the best attacking side in world football, yet they remained overexposed at the back. Rodrigo Becao was brought in with a lot of fanfare but failed spectacularly and was sold at a loss mid-season. Mohamed Salisu improved immensely on an individual level, but he struggled to find a worthy partner until Luis Felipe joined mid-season from Lazio. Felipe performed incredibly well despite being given little time to acclimatize to the squad. A lot is expected of him this year. Rodri Tarin was solid as ever, but he's not a starting centre-back at the highest level. And youngster Kike Hermoso did well, but he's a few years away from his prime. So Racing have moved quickly in the market and secured two versatile signings that should bolster their backline. Boubacar Kamara has been signed from Wolverhampton. The former Marseille defender comes to La Liga after a couple of years in the Prem at Wolves. He can play across the backline and is very capable as a holding midfielder as well. Asked about Kamara, sporting director Terry said, "We love his versatility. The fact that he can protect the back line or even allow us to play a back three at times is important. He will do well here." So while the Kamara deal grabbed the headlines, Racing also completed another signing behind the scenes. Marco Cana, a similar player in many aspects, has been brought in from a high-achieving Anderlecht side that became the talk of the Champions League last year. Cana is versatile as well, while filling in the back as a rotational player in quite a few positions, as well as being able to play in midfield. He's strong, fast, and a true leader despite his young age. Racing are also looking to bring in some dynamism in the center of the park, and an attacking midfielder could fit the bill. Racing have relied a lot on the vibrant wing play of Francisco Trincao, Joaquin Correa, and Ferran Torres, but when the wings have been stifled, they've struggled playing through the middle. Nicolo Barella, the club's record signing back in January, was brought in and he performed brilliantly in the center of the park, but Racing are looking for someone who can be a true creator for João Pedro up top. Some of the potential targets have been Phil Foden, the English midfielder now at Arsenal, who's performed brilliantly well last year. Dani Olmo, the Spanish midfielder who's been plying his trade at Dynamo Zagreb in Croatia, is also a big target of the club, but his $54 million release clause could prove problematic. Dejan Kulusevski, who's a bit of a winger, but can also play in the middle, the Swedish attacker has been doing very well in Serie A, and he's also been highlighted as potentially a target for Racing. Will be interesting to see where Racing go, but you can expect an attacking midfielder to come in this window. Despite all the talk of transfers, however, there's a little issue of raising the necessary funds. Racing have already spent most of this summer's budget umbrella in January, so they will be forced to sell some players and even look into signing some of the more talented members of the youth team in order to raise money. It's not ideal, but sacrifices will have to be made. Iago Aspas is back to Celta Vigo, where he'll see out his career. Aspas was great for Racing last year, but wasn't played as much as he should have been towards the end of the season. Successful year for him, but now he'll be back to Celta Vigo as he finishes out his illustrious career. Pedri, who has spent more time on loan in the last couple of years, is also considering a move to China, where he'll be paid far more. The former Barcelona man was brought into Racing a couple of years ago, and he's had some good chemistry with João Pedro, but he's not good enough to break into the main team, and the allure of China seems to be enticing him. Also, a bit of a shock, Fausto Vera has left the club. The Argentina midfielder added a lot of activity and grit to the Racing midfield, but his high salary and the ability to raise some money for him to fund some other players has convinced Terry that he needs to depart. So Vera is off. He will be sorely missed. He had a great first year with Racing. And the sales continue. Diego Gonzalez is on the verge of leaving the club. The talented backup goalkeeper and former youth product is looking at other options. He's been stuck behind Lucas Zidane and he's ready to spread his wings, and he's certainly talented enough to be fair. In response to that, Racing have looked to bring in Diego Lopez, the former Real Madrid keeper, the former Espanyol keeper as well. He may come in to back up Lucas Zidane, who'll bring a wealth of experience to the club. Now, when thinking about the lack of depth at Racing, the wingback position certainly comes to mind. Rayan Aït-Nouri and Ismail Casas have both been solid, but solid alone may not cut it anymore for Racing. Racing may need outright competition for the likes of Elias Pereira and David Carmona. The pair of Pereira and Carmona have both been outright starters for the past 3 seasons, and Racing are looking to shake it up a bit. They've highlighted a few potential targets. On the right side of the fence, Youssef Attal, Kevin Rueg, Guga, and Pedro Porro have all been identified as major targets for Racing, while the pair of Spaniards, Marc Cucurella and Alfonso Pedraza, have been looked at for the left back position. And there is shocking news out of England. Manchester City legend David Silva is close to leaving the club and joining Racing Santander. This one has essentially come out of nowhere. David Silva has decided to come back to Spain. His wife wants to live in Spain again, and David, his time in the Premier League is over. So he has been negotiating with Terry, and it seems this deal may be going through soon. The negotiations are at an advanced stage. We'll find out about this soon, but exciting stuff. David Silva, he's 37 years old, so not necessarily the player he used to be, but he's someone who still has a lot of quality and countless experience, and he will be massive for Racing Santander. Turns out Racing are not done in England, and they've highlighted yet another player to bolster their midfield, and this one is very interesting and very exciting as well. Romario Barro, the Portuguese midfielder who spent last year on loan at Real Betis, the Chelsea midfielder to be fair, is now considering coming to Spain again. Barro has become famous in La Liga for his absolute destruction of Racing last year with a stunning hat-trick while on loan. Real Betis did very well last year. They finished 5th in the league, and the midfield pairing of Giovanni Lo Celso and Romario Barro dominated their opponents all season long. Barro, of course, belongs to Chelsea, but Frank Lampard seems intent on loaning him out again to get some more experience. Barro seems enticed by the Racing project and is excited by the idea. The deal is expected to be closed very soon. A quick loan deal for 1 year. And there it is, David Silva is in. Exciting stuff. Here he is, the Spanish legend, back to La Liga to play with Racing Santander. This is exciting. Let's see what he can bring to this team. Of course, like we said, he's a bit older, but Racing have enough energy and youth around him where they can maybe just rely on his brilliant build-up play and have the players around him maybe doing more of the dirty work. Should be very exciting. David Silva is their latest Racing Santander player. And Romario Barro's deal has also been sealed. He comes in from Chelsea. He's going to be here at Racing for 1 year. Not an option to buy now, but obviously Racing will consider that. Barrow, someone who was a thorn in the backside of Racing last year, now joins the club. Very exciting. He will provide a lot of competition in midfield and may go in right as a starter next to Nicolo Barella as Jordi Quintilla takes a seat on the bench this season. The captain will be taking a step back. And there he is, Romario Barrow coming in. Very exciting stuff. And Racing complete this trifecta of signings as Kevin Rueg, the Swiss right back from Zurich, comes into the club. The speedy, athletic, fast, smart, what a player this is. I'm very excited to see how he does. I think he may even go right into the starting lineup and bench David Carmona. Rueg has been improving immensely the past few years over in Switzerland. He now takes a step up to La Liga. A higher level, of course, but he has the talent to deal with it. Kevin Rueg is your latest Racing Santander player. What a window. 3 big signings in this week. Racing adding them to the signings before of Cana, Camara, and Diego Lopez. Racing certainly mean business. Now that Racing have addressed most of their needs, they're heading into the season looking to finalize things in the window, and they're looking for a bit more help on the wing. The likes of Pedro de la Vega, the Argentine winger from Lanús, has been identified. He's exciting, he's fast, he's tricky, and he should be someone who can provide a big spark off the bench. They've also looked into getting Pedraza from Villarreal, the left back, as we mentioned before, would be an excellent option. We're still working on that deal, and they may not get it done just in time before the Supercopa starts, which is coming up next. But still a statement of intent. Elias Pereira getting some competition now as Alfonso Pedraza's deal seems closer and closer to being completed. And there it is. What a summer so far. Racing have built a squad on paper that should be able to compete at the highest level. And now they'll have the opportunity to prove that as they face Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup up next. Thank you guys for watching. Terry F Gaming, I'm out. Hope you enjoyed the transfer window. Let me know your thoughts below. We're going all the way through to PES 2021, and then I have some really exciting stuff planned. Also gonna have some other games on the channel as well, which I've talked about in previous videos. But thanks for watching, guys. If you're enjoying the content and you enjoyed this transfer window, consider giving it a like, consider subscribing. I am out. Peace, take care, stay safe. See you guys soon.